Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss about the set theory, that is very important topic for the discrete structure and graph theory. Here we'll discuss about the four topics: the set theory introduction, conclusion of set, set equality and types of set. I am Professor SD Padia from SHGMC Shegaon. For any subject related query you can contact on my mail ID that is mentioned here. In the set theory, we have 10 topics: the set theory, inclusion of set, the set equality, types of set, operations on set, Venn diagrams, set identifiers, Cartesian products, relations and ordering, and functions and recursions. In this video, we are going to discuss about the first four: the set theory, inclusion of set, set equality, and the types of set. Now let's see the first topic, the introduction to the set theory. In mathematics, set theory was developed to explain about the collection of objects. Basically, the definition states it is a collection of elements. These elements could be numbers, alphabets, variables, etc. The notation and symbols for sets are based on the operations performed on them. We'll see that what is the set theory in maths. As we already discussed in mathematics set theory, a set is a collection of different types of objects and collectively itself is called an object. For example, a number 8, 10, 15, 24 are the four distinct numbers. But when we put them together, then form a set of four elements such that in curly braces these four elements 8, 10, 15, 24. Similarly, we can define a set of odd numbers between 1 to 100, a set of even numbers between 1 to 100, a set of numbers between 1 to 100 which are divisible by 2, a set of numbers between 1 to 100 which are divisible by 3, a set of numbers between 1 to 100 which are divisible by 5, and like that. Sets are defined for a different pattern of numbers, such as sets could be a collection of odd numbers, even numbers, natural numbers, whole numbers, real or complex numbers, and all the set of numbers which comes in the number line. We have discussed already. The following example illustrate the concept of the set. Suppose we have the set of all Indians, then the collection of all Indians, that's we call the set of all Indians. Second, a pair of shoes, a bouquet of flowers. Fourth, the set of all ideas contained in a book. Fifth, a flock of sheep. And sixth, a collection of rocks. If you observe, in all these 6 examples, we have the more than one elements. The set of all Indians, the pair of shoes, then we have the 2, the bouquet of flower means more than one flowers, the set of all ideas means more than one, the flock of sheep means more than one, and the collection of rocks means it is also the more than one rocks. Here, many words encountered the same meaning as set. In general English language, for the more than one, generally we use the words class or aggregate or collection. Same, in discrete mathematics, we use the word set. But if there is a repetition of the set word in the same statement, then we can use the other word. We shall use the synonyms class, aggregate or collection, particularly to avoid using the same word repeatedly in a given sentence. For example, a set of sets may be called a collection of sets. We'll take one example. Suppose I have the one set of sets of 100 blue pens, 100 red pens and the 100 black pens. Now we have the 100 blue pens, 100 red pens and 100 black pens, but collectively I again consider one set which have 3 sets of these 300 pins. That's why it is a set of sets. It is a confusing and it is not good. That's why we can use the class, aggregate, or the collection instead of the set. How we can define this sentence? That it is a collection of sets of 100 blue pens, 100 red pens and 100 black pens. A fundamental concept of set theory is that of the membership or belonging to a set. Any object belonging to a set called as member or an element of the set. A set is denoted by any uppercase letter, while its members are denoted by the lowercase letter. We'll see the example. Let's view the set A of the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Means these 5 elements are in the set A. Therefore, we can write down that 1 belongs to a set A, and it is written by using the symbol belonging. We have written as the 1 belongs to A, which is read as the 1 is an element of the set A. This is a symbol for belonging, or 1 belongs to the set A, or 1 is in A. There are the 3 different languages to read the belonging. If there exists a number 7 which does not belong to the set A, then express this fact as the not belonging symbol. We can see on your screen that 7 is not belongs to A. Read as 7 is not an element of the set A, 7 does not belong to the set A, or 7 is not in A. If any element belong to this symbol or any element is the part of this set, then we can define that this element belongs to this set, and if the element is not the part of the set, then we can define this element is not belongs to this set. There are several ways in which a set can be specified. For example, a set consisting of the elements 1, 3 and 7 is generally written as, in curly brace, all 3 elements 1, 3, z. The name of elements are enclosed in the braces and separated by commas. If we wish to denote this set as a S, then we can write this capital S is equals to a set of 1, 3, z. Therefore, we can write as 1 is a part of set S, that is 1 belongs to S, 3 belongs to S, and Z belongs to S. But 0 is not the part of S, 2 is not the part of S, and 4 is not the part of S. Therefore, we have written 0 does not belong to S, 2 does not belong to S, and 4 also does not belong to S. This method of specifying a set is not convenient, and it is not always possible to use it. In general, a set can be defined or characterized by the predicate. We'll see the example. Suppose S1 is a set for all odd positive integers, then how we can write down it that S1 is a set of X such that X is an odd positive integer. Second, S2 is a set of X such that X is a city of India. X3 is a set of X such that X is a river. X4 is a set of X such that X is equals to A or X is equals to B. If we consider P of X denote any predicate, then a set of X such that P of X define a set. An element B belongs to this set if P of B is true. Otherwise, B does not belong to the set. we'll see the second topic, that is the inclusion of sets. Let A and B are any two sets, then if every element of set A is an element of set B, then A is called a subset of B, or A is said to be included in B, or B includes A. Again, we can define this inclusion by the three different statements. Symbolically, this relation is denoted by A is a subset of B. This is a symbol. Or equivalently by B is a superset of A. You have to clear this symbol is for the subset, that is A is a subset of B, and this symbol is for the superset, that means B is a superset of A. Alternatively, A is a subset of B is logically equivalent to B is a superset of A is logically equivalent to, for all x, if x belongs to the A, then x belongs to the B. We'll have the example. Suppose we have set A for the elements 1, 2, 4, 5, and we have the second set of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we look to these two sets, then all the elements of set A, that is 1, 2, 4, 5, is also belongs to the set B. Then how we can define that a set B is having all the elements of set A and two additional elements, these are 3 and 6. That's why here we can write down that A is a subset of B, or B is a superset of A. We'll take one example, that it is important at this stage to distinguish between the membership and the inclusion. We illustrate the difference between these two. Let's have the example, a set of elements 1, 2, 3, a set of elements 1, 2, that is B, and C is a set of elements 1, 3, and set D is for the elements 3. Then if we look, all the elements of B belongs to the set A also, all the elements of C also belongs to the set A, all the elements of D belongs to the set A, and all the elements of D also belongs to the set C. That's why we have defined that B is a subset of A, C is a subset of A, D is a subset of A, and D is also a subset of C. Now, we'll clear the difference between the membership and the inclusion. On the other hand, if we have the any set of the elements 1, 2, 3, then we can consider that 1 belongs to this set, or 2 belongs to this set, or 3 belongs to this set, because these three elements 1, 2, 3 are the members of this set. But we cannot consider that 1 is a subset of this set, because these are the elements of the set. The belonging is a relation between the members and the set, while the subset, that is inclusion, is a relation between the two sets. Let's check that on the other hand, 1 belongs to the set of elements 1, 2, 3, and 1 is not included in the set of 1, 2, 3. Though the set of 1 is a subset of set 1, 2, 3. Only a set can be included in or can be a subset of another set, while only elements can be a member of sets. I told you, I repeat, the inclusion is a relation between two sets. One set can be the subset of second set, and the belonging or membership is a relation between the member and its set. Of course, a set may something have other sets as a element. Let's have the example. We have one set for the elements 1, 2, 3. Then we can consider that 1 belongs to the set A, 2 belongs to the set A, or 3 belongs to the set A. Now we have the one second example, that is set A. It is a set of 1, 2, 3. Just like this. In your second diagram, the set A is having two elements 2 and 3 and one subset, that is a set of 1. But in your first diagram, the set A having the 3 elements 1, 2, 3. Therefore, what we can say, that set of 1 belongs to the A, set of 1, 2 is a subset of A, the set of 1 is a subset of A, 2 belongs to the A, set of 2, 3 is a subset of A, and 3 belongs to the A. The elements or members belongs to the set, and one set can be included into the another set. The following are some of the important properties of the set inclusion. For any set A, B and C, what we can say, that A is a subset of A, or A is a superset of A. That's why the inclusion is a reflexive. Again, the A is a subset of B and B is a subset of C is tautologically implies A is a subset of B. Means if all the elements of A belongs to the B and all the elements of B belongs to the set C, then all the elements of A also belongs to the set C. Therefore, it is concluded that inclusion is reflexive and transitive. Let's have the example. A set A with the elements 1, 2, 4, 5 and set B with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we look, all the elements of set A belongs to the set B also. Therefore, here we have written that A is a subset of B. That is, A is included in B. Let's have the second example. If we have a set A with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and a second set also with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have two sets which are having the equal or same elements, then we can consider these two sets are equal. That is, A is equals to B. If both set A and set B are same, we can consider A is included in B and B is included in A. That is, A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A because both are equal. Let's move to the third topic, that is set equality. Two sets A and B are said to be equal if and only if A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A. Or symbolically, A is equals to B is logically equivalent to A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A. From the equivalences, for all x, if and only if P of x then Q of x is logically equivalent to for all x if P of x then Q of x, and for all x if Q of x then P of x. We alternatively define the equality of two sets as A is equals to B is logically equivalent to for all x if x belongs to the set A, then and only then x belongs to the set B. We'll have the example. Suppose we have two sets, first with the elements 1, 2, 4 and second is with the elements 1, 2, 2, 4. Then both are equal because in set repetition is not having important. Second, if we have the two sets, first with the elements 1, 4, 2 and second with the elements 1, 2, 4, then also both are equal because in set order is not important. If P is a set of 1, 2, member 4 and Q is a set of elements 1, 2, 4, then P is not equals to Q because in P there is a one subset and one element 4 and in Q there are the three elements which belongs to the set set Q. These are 1, 2 and 4. Now we'll start about the types of set. The first is a proper subset. Before that we are clear the difference between the inclusion and belonging, and we have seen the inclusion and equal. A set A is called a proper subset of set B if A is a subset of B and A is not equals to B. Symbolically it is written as A is a proper subset of B. So that this is a symbol for your proper subset. So that A is a proper subset of B is logically equivalent to, condition is A is a subset of B and A is not equals to B. A is a proper subset of B, also called a proper inclusion. A proper inclusion is not reflexive, however it is a transitive. We'll see that A is a proper subset of B and B is a proper subset of C, then it is tautologically implies that A is a proper subset of C. We'll discuss with example. We have the set A with the elements 1, 2, 4, 5. Set B with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And set C with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we check, A is a subset of B and A is not equals to B. That's why A is a proper subset of A. B is a subset of C and B is not equals to C. Therefore, B is also the proper subset of C. Means A is a proper subset of B and B is a proper subset of C. If we check, A is also the subset of C and A is not equals to C. Therefore, finally we can say that A is a proper subset of C. The second type is the universal set. The universe, from the name you can define that universe means everything that's we have in the discussion, in the consideration. Let's have the definition. A set A is called a universal set if it is included every set under discussion. A universal set will be denoted by capital E. It follows from the definition that for any set A, we have A is a subset of universal set E. Thus, every element X belongs to the E, that is, for all X, X belongs to the set E, is identically true. One could specify universal set E in a variety of ways. We can define that E is equals to a set of X such that P of X or not P of X. We know the meaning of P of X or not P of X. It is always true, where P of X is any predicate. It is easy to show that all such sets are equal to the set E. The universal set is defined by the rectangle. The next is empty or null set. It is the contradiction to the universal set. A set which does not contain any element is called an empty set or null set. An empty set will be denoted by the symbol phi. It follows from the definition that for any empty set phi and any x, that is x belongs to the phi, is a contradiction. That is, for all x, x belongs to the phi is a contradiction. Thus, for any set A, phi is a subset of set A, because for all x, if x belongs to the phi, then x belongs to the A is tautological. One could specify phi in a variety of ways. Here, we are define phi is a set of x such that p of x and not p of x. If we find the p of x and not p of x, then it is always false. That's why for any predicate it will always false, means there is no any element in the set. Where the p of x is any predicate, it is easy to show that all such sets are identical to the set phi. This phi set is defined by the symbol phi, and it is represented in the universal set without any color. The next is a power set. For any given set A, there is always a null set phi, and the set A itself are the subsets of set A. Means if we have any set, then this set includes two subsets. One is a phi and one the set itself. For any element A belongs to the set A, the set A is a subset of set A, means the set itself is a subset. Similarly, we can consider other subsets of A. Rather than finding individual subsets of A, we could like to say something about the set of all subsets of A. For a set A, a collection or families of all subsets of A is called the power set of A. The power set of A is denoted by rho of A or 2 raised to power A. So that the power set of A is a set of X such that X is a subset of set A. Means all the possible subsets of the set are the subset of this set, then we called it is the power set. Let's have the example. That let us consider some finite sets and their power sets. The power set of the null set phi has only the element phi. Hence, the rho of phi is equals to the set of phi. For a set S1 is equals to a set of A. Therefore, the power set of S1 is a set of phi and set of A, because there is only the one element in S1. For set S2 of the elements 1, B, A, B, the power set of S2 includes a phi, set of A, set of B, and set of A, B, that is S2. Next, if we have set S3 for the three elements A, B, C, then the power set of S3 includes the phi, set of A, set of B, set of C, set of A, B, set of A, C, set of B, C, and set of three elements A, B, C, that is S3. Now, move to the last point of the video, that is operations on set. The various operations are available to work with sets, which allow to construct new sets by combining the elements of the given sets. The first is intersection it is represented by the symbol. We call it the intersection symbol. The intersection of any two sets A and B written as the A intersection B is the set consisting of all the elements which belongs to both A and B. Symbolically, A intersection B is equals to a set of X such that X belongs to the set A and X belongs to the set B. Let's have the example. A set A of the elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and set B is with the elements 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, the A and B both are having the elements 3 and 4. Therefore, A intersection B is a set of elements 3, 4. If we look to the Venn diagram, then the set A is in orange, which is having the element 1, 2, 3, 4, and set B is in the blue, which is having the elements 3, 4, 5, 6. Then here the 3 and 4 are belongs to the both set. That's why this portion is called the intersection. The second, from the definition, it follows that for any set A and B, A intersection B is equals to the B intersection A intersection A is equals to A, and A intersection phi is equals to phi. The A intersection B is equals to B intersection A show that the intersection is commutative. The commutative of intersection can be proved in the following manner for any X. X belongs to the A intersection B is logically equivalent to X belongs to a set of X such that X belongs to the A and X belongs to the B. Therefore, we can write down it as the X belongs to the A and X belongs to the B. The AND operation, that is the conjunction, is a commutative. Therefore, in next we have written X belongs to the B and X belongs to the A. Therefore, X belongs to the set of X such that X belongs to the B and X belongs to the A. And at last we have written that X belongs to B intersection A. The second operation is disjoint. The disjoint of any two sets A and B is the set consisting of no elements which belongs to the both set A and B. That is, A intersection B is equals to phi. Means if there is no any common element in two sets, then we call these two sets are disjoint sets. Let's have the example. A set A is with the elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and set B is with the elements 5, 6, 7, 8. If we look, there is no any common element in the set A and B. Therefore, the set A and B is equals to phi. Here set A and B are disjoint sets. Move to the third operation, that is union. It is represented by this symbol. The union of any two sets A and B written as the A union B is the set consisting of all the elements which belongs to the set A or set B. It is not compulsory that elements must belong to the both sets. Symbolically, the A union B is equals to a set of X such that X belongs to the A or X belongs to the B. Let's have the example. Set A is for the elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and set B is with the elements 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, A union B, it will the set of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3, 4, 5, 6. But we have seen in the set repetition is not having important. Therefore, A union B is a set of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From the definition, it follows that for any sets A and B, A union B is equals to the B union A, that is a commutative. A union A is equals to the A, and A union phi is equals to A because it is a union. The A union B is equals to B union A show that the union is commutative. The commutative of union can be proved in the following manner, just as we have proved for the intersection. For any x belongs to the A union B is logically equivalent to the x belongs to the set of x such that x belongs to the A or x belongs to the B. Therefore, we have written in simple x belongs to the A or x belongs to the B. The OR operation, that is the disjunction, is a commutative. Therefore, in next we have written x belongs to the B or x belongs to the A. Next, the x belongs to the set of x such that x belongs to the B or x belongs to the A. And at last, x belongs to the B union A. The next operation is a relative complement. Let A and B are any two sets. The relative complement of B in A or the relative complement of B with respect to A, written as the A dash B, is the set consisting of all the elements of A which are not the elements of B. That is, A dash B is a set of X such that X belongs to the A and X does not belongs to the B. It is same as the set of X such that X belongs to the A and not X belongs to the B. We have written only in different symbols. The relative complement of B in A, also called the difference of A and B. The Venn diagram represents the A dash B. The portion of A which not belong to the B, that is in green, it is for the A dash B and it is read as relative complement of B in A. In next Venn diagram, the portion of B which is in green is for the B dash A, that is the relative complement of A in B or the relative complement of A with respect to B. Let's have the example. A set A with elements 2, 5, 6, set B with elements 2, 3, 4 and set C with elements 1, 3, 4. Then we'll find the A dash B and B dash A. If we check the A and B, A dash B means the relative complement of B in A, means the elements which belongs to the A but not to the B. We'll check. In A we have the first element 2, but it also belongs to the B. Second element is 5, but it not belong to the B. And third element is 6, it not belong to the B. That's why A dash B is a set of 5, 6. The second relative complement of A in B, that is B dash A, means all the elements of B but not A. We'll check. The first element of B is 2, but it is the part of A, it belongs to the A. The second element of B is 3, it is not in A. and the third element of B is 4, it is not in A. Therefore, B dash A is a set of 3, 4. Last, the A dash C means the relative complement of C in A, means all the elements belongs to the set A but not to the C. We'll check. The A is having 3 elements, 2, 5 and 6, and out of this 2, 5, 6, any element is not belonging to the set C. Therefore, A dash C is a set of 2, 5, 6, all the elements. Therefore, it is equals to the set A. We'll check with the Venn diagram. Suppose we have set A with the elements 5, 6 and 2. Set B with the elements 2, 3, 4 as we have the example, and set C with the elements 1, 3 and 4. You can solve for your practice the 3, that is A dash B union C, B dash A union C and C dash A union B. The last operation on the set is absolute complement, that is a simple complement. Let capital E is the universal set, then for any set A, the relative complement of A with respect to E, that is E dash A, is called the absolute complement of A. Symbolically, the E dash A is equals to a set of X such that X belongs to the E and X does not belong to the A. It is also represented as a set of X such that X belongs to the E and not X belongs to the A. Means the absolute complement of A, that is E dash A, are the elements in the universe but not belonging to the A. That's why in your Venn diagram, the A is in the white and remaining is orange. That is A complement is this portion in the orange color.